Hey, ever since I was 15, I always thought I was going to be like the greatest songwriter that's ever lived, write some of the greatest songs ever in history, right? And I would have bet my life on that. I would have absolutely bet my life on that. And actually, I kind of did because I put my family through hell. I put myself through hell trying to be that star. I had my whole identity wrapped up in the music industry. And then guess what happened? Well, I got hit by a truck. So apparently, God had other plans. Not to mention, all throughout my music career, I was a raging alcoholic and drug addict and didn't even know it. I should have known when I was on my honeymoon, 21 years old, with my ex wife. I'm on my honeymoon in the Bahamas and I get kidnapped on the beach in Nassau, Bahamas. As soon as we get off the cruise ship, there is a guy betting $100 that he could outdrink any of these tourists, right? So of course, me being the good alcoholic that I am, I took on the bet. Well, I lost because by 11 o'clock I'm in a blackout, and we're at the Hard Rock Cafe downtown Nassau, Bahamas, and so my ex-wife is inside ordering brunch for us, and I go outside to smoke a cigarette. And what do? I'm sitting there and I'm stumbling because I'm blackout drunk, and some guy was coming by with some marijuana and asked if I wanted some, and of course I said yes. So and what did they tell you to do on the cruise ship? The captain says specifically, "Don't leave the reservation." And this knucklehead right here decides to get on the bus with this guy I just met 45 minutes into the middle of nowhere. And we get to this like slum area. There's prostitutes in the middle of the street. There's dirt roads. There's actual human feces. I don't even know how to say that word. There's shit. Okay, there's shit in the sidewalks. It's disgusting. The guy brings me into the basement of this abandoned restaurant, and when I get down there, and because that's where the weed's at, when I get down there, there's like seven dudes. They beat my ass, tied me to a chair, and I was there for hours. Okay, and the way that I escaped, so they wanted me to bring 2 kilos of cocaine onto the cruise ship, and they wanted me to drain my bank account. And so here I am thinking I'm going to die if I don't do what these guys want me to do. So I said, yes, of course. Well, two of the guys took me into this car, and then they drove to the bank. And I had a moment of clarity. I noticed when we pulled down the street to go to the bank, the street was a one-way, and it was really narrow. So they would have to go all the way down to the other end of the street to turn around to come chase me. So I hopped out of the car and I ran, and weaving in and out of these neighborhoods, barefooted because they took my shoes, and I ended up finding a cop who was at a clothing store, and he was asking the business owners if they'd seen me. He was looking for me, so he got me back on the boat. Moral of the story is don't drink. I mean, some people can. Like, if you're not a real alcoholic, you could get away with it, but for me, one's too many and 1,000's not enough. I don't stop at the first one. I have no stop button in me. It takes divine intervention and some consequences to get me to stop that train. So it took like 2 decades for me to finally get sober. And once I did, I had a bunch of legal troubles, but I was in contention for a Grammy nomination, right? I got hit by a truck. I was in contention for a Grammy nomination in 2019. Got hit by a truck, and then I had 2 spinal surgeries, and lost feeling in my hands, and they had to cut the front of my neck and move my vocal cords, so I couldn't sing like I used to, and I thought my life was over. I was devastated. I mean, that I had my whole identity wrapped up in the music industry, and it was over. There's no way I was going to be able to do it at the capacity I was doing it before. So, and then I got into a bunch of trouble because, I'm in this dark place. I'm depressed. I'm suicidal. Now I'm addicted to painkillers on top of everything else, drinking my ass off, and got into a bunch of trouble. DUIs, reckless driving, and an attempted murder charge, too, in a self-defense case that took 6 years to get expunged. But, so I couldn't even get a job at Walmart, when I got sober, like 2 months into my sobriety. I was trying to find work, and nobody would hire me. Um, I had 26 weeks of PTI that I had to go through to get all the charges dropped. Um, but then I started a sauce company. So my grandmother, she is Italian, and my family, I grew up with Italian spaghetti sauce. And, every Sunday, well, more than every Sunday, it was like 3 times a week we were eating something Italian, and this is the sauce that my family, raised me with. And so I brought a jar of, no, I brought some eggplant parmesan, some spaghetti and meatballs to a meeting full of alcoholics. And somebody said, hey, this is the best sauce I've ever had. Why don't you sell this? So I said, I'll look into it. Never thought of that. Don't have any experience in the food industry. So I made a prototype, went to the Piggly Wiggly down the street from my house, and they ordered 6 cases. And then I called my father. He's like, what do you mean they ordered 6 cases? I'm like, Dad, they want 6 cases of this sauce. He's like, well, is there any other stores? I'm like, yeah, there's one 2 miles down the road. He's like, well, go there, see what they say. I did that. That same day, sure enough, they ordered 6 cases too. And then it was on from there. So, here I was in a galley kitchen, like no bigger than a closet, making all these jars of sauce, right? And then in a month, those 2 stores turned into 4 stores. In 2 months, it was 7 stores. And I'm like, oh man, I can't do this from my house no more. So I had to get a commissary kitchen. I went and rented a kitchen. And so now, working 3rd shift, 8 at night to 4 in the morning, making sauce. Okay, and we had this one product, classic Italian red sauce. And then, so within a few months out of that kitchen, I was able to get 15 more Piggly Wigglies. And now I'm reaching this glass ceiling that I didn't even know existed. Like, I didn't know 15 stores was going to be the most that I could produce from this spot. So it's like, oh shit. Well, now I gotta scale the business, and I wasn't prepared for that. And cash flow. You think getting your product into stores, you're gonna have all this money, but it wasn't. It was like, we're just we had this thing held together with duct tape and bubble gum. And buying all the ingredients, buying all the jars, buying all the labels, and doing everything by hand too. Let me throw that in there. There's no machines, so 12 hours. In a 12-hour shift from 8 to 4 in the morning, I'd get about 300, 400 jars done. And that was just enough to service the 15, 16 stores. And plus, I'm the only guy, so I'm driving around the whole state of South Carolina delivering, 20 cases at a time in the back of a Honda, So the time I was spending in the kitchen was getting less and less and less. So then, so I actually shut it down. But in the meantime, while I'm working at the kitchen, I started writing everything down, and that's what this book is. This is From Bars to Jars. It tells the whole story from the music industry to all these stories I was just telling you now, and then finding faith, surrendering to God, finding Jesus Christ, and and really giving Him the wheel. I know it sounds cliche, Jesus take the wheel. Well, that's what I did. So I wrote this book. I published it like in a rush. I didn't even have an editor, so I self-published, and the book started taking off. Now I'm starting to get media attention, and people want me to come do book signings at the Piggly Wigglies, at the stores. And the same day I got into my first national headline, LA Weekly put out an article, my car got repossessed. So I was like, again, here I am, devastated. I'm just like waiting, like, God, what am I supposed to do? Like, now I can't drive, I can't do nothing, and now I don't have the kitchen. So I had this idea to do Apastioli farms where, I would, because the demand was so high. Oh, and by the way, I got Food Lion too that called me in December. Now that's 163 stores in South Carolina. They're going to start me in 63 stores. So about half. And, but there's no way I was going to be able to do that at that kitchen. So I would need machines. I would need to outsource my production. And then I started calling around to these co-packers, and it's like, just wasn't feeling it. Like, I got to send off my recipes. I'm like, that's kind of dangerous, right? And these companies are very like cold and transactional. There's no like relationship. They don't really give a shit about your product. So God put on my heart to like build a farm. 1,700 acres I found out in Adams Run, which would be perfect. Adams Run is like 25 minutes from Charleston. 10 minutes from Edisto Beach. It's like a poppin' like tourist area, right? So I locked in on this property, but it's $14.6 million, and me thinking like, okay, should be no problem. There's demand for this product. There's other retailers now too. Like I started emailing all these other big chain stores. Like Whole Foods, Harris Teeter, Lowe's, Publix. So now I'm talking to all of them. So I'm like, in my mind, like I could get this thing to go nationwide overnight. We get the farm, we grow the crops, we build a facility, we start packaging everything ourselves, control the distribution, basically like vertical integration. But it's a big investment. And here it is, October, and I still haven't got the investment to come through. But in the meantime, I've done a lot of stuff. I don't stay still. So I'm just like, just trusting God, trusting the process. Like it's coming. I have faith. But don't get me wrong, I get down sometimes. It's frustrating. But thankfully, I'm pretty creative. So what did I do? I wrote a second book. And I wrote the second book, and I sent the manuscripts over to Angel Studios, who did The Chosen. Because I was watching The Chosen, staying up till like 4 o'clock in the morning. And so just, said a little prayer. Same way I got into the Piggly Wigglies. I said a prayer, walked in, and asked, hey, you want to carry this product? So I sent my manuscript over to Angel Studios, and about a month later, I'm walking to the Piggly Wiggly to do a book signing, and I get a message back from Angel Studios. They said, your story is phenomenal. It's so inspiring, and we encourage you to film a torch pilot. I'm like, what is that? So I guess it's a 5-minute like sizzle reel is what they call it in the film industry. So, okay, I guess I know what I'm doing now, and I started reaching out to producers. Looked on LinkedIn and Facebook. I'm hitting up everybody I know from the music industry. So now it's kind of coming full circle, and I'm just blown away. So the second book is a fictional continuation. This book, From Bars to Jars, is real. It's nonfiction, and it ends. This book ends. I don't know if I should spoil it on here. Well, you know what? Shit. I guess I will. This book ends with us going to look at the farm. So the second book picks up us getting the farm, like an investor, so there's a few fictional characters in the second book, but everybody else is people that are in my life right now. The other characters in this story it's their real personalities. It's them, it's me, and we're out there here on the farm, and all kinds of drama gets unleashed, conspiracy, people are poisoning the goats, and, all kinds of crazy shit. So I found producers, Tom Wiggin here in Charleston. He's a good friend, and he was a soap opera star back in the 90s. So he loves the books. So me and him are going to start writing the script and screenplay. But again, I need investment. I need like 30 grand for the development. So right now we're just like in early development, but there are networks interested as well. On top of Angel Studios encouraging the torch pilot, there's other networks I can't mention. And then I started a podcast, Low Country Lunatics. Me and my boy, New York Nicky T. We have a blast on that thing. We got 16 episodes in. And then, again, out of boredom, out of kind of desperation, not desperation, but like, I got to keep moving. I got to keep doing stuff. So I came up with fragrances. So now I got a luxury line of fragrances and a luxury line of sauce that, the good news about the fragrances is I can do that all from my house. My house is actually a certified cosmetics facility by the FDA. So I, did a bunch of research, how to package this stuff properly, how to mix all these different fragrances. I got, oils coming out of my ass. It sounds kind of gross, but I got 50 different scents that I've been messing around with, doing a little bit of this. And, because I have a background in graphic design, so I'm designing the labels, just like the sauce. And now Jay McLaughlin on Kiowa Island, November 26th, I'm going to do a book signing and a product launch. So 2 of my fragrances, that the first one's off the line. They're done, finalized. November 26th, I'm going to be dressed up like a little preppy boy on Kiowa. And we're going to be, signing books. And so, yeah, I guess that's a nutshell. I didn't come on here. I wasn't intending on getting into all this stuff, but you know what? I'm live. I might as well. I've never done a live, so I wanted to see what it was all about. And hey, shout out to my man Cyrus, bro. When you coming back to the challenge? Come on now, you got to get it. I'm telling you, I'm rooting for you, bro. Been watching you for decades. You know, me and my wife, we love you. We want you on there. I know you're destined to win that thing. You're the most in shape, fit 54-year-old we've ever seen on reality TV. So let's go. Let's do it. But yeah, this is fun. Thank you guys for all tuning in. I don't know how many people are here. I don't even know how to read to see what's going on here, but I appreciate all the love. I see all these hearts flying up. If you guys, hey, check out the book. Check out the book. Go to apastioli.com and see what else is going on. I'll try to hop on here every once in a while. You know, maybe like once a week. I don't know what the rules are for TikTok Live. Like, should I do this often? Like every day? I hope not. I got too much stuff going on. Every Friday, Low Country Lunatics podcast, new episodes. I just had Francisco Gonzalez. If you guys don't know who this is, Francisco Gonzalez wrote the book, The American Dream is a Terrible Thing to Waste. And he's a phenomenal, fascinating guy. So I just released that episode today. And then I also recorded today an episode with Layla Gulen from Fox News, which is crazy because I've been on her show on Fox 3 times now, and now I interviewed her. So it was kind of like a role. It was a role reversal, and it was cool. It was a cool experience to be on the other side. So I'm just having fun with this thing, man. You know, as much as, you know, the financial struggle, it's always a struggle, right? You're never going to have enough money, right? And I hate what money does to people. And but, you know, I'm just loving life. I'm just blessed, regardless of what's going on, you know, the struggles. I'm blessed. I'm favored, highly favored by God. I'm doing my best to be a good human being, which wasn't the case, you know, just 2 years ago. I was hell on wheels, sitting in a jail cell. So that's not me today. And thank God, because, you know, Jesus Christ, he doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called. And he definitely called me. And I got baptized at 11/11 on 11/11 by Pastor Leonard, who I met in a Piggly Wiggly. He was stocking his seafood, King's seafood garlic butter sauce on the shelf while I'm doing a product demo of my spaghetti sauce. It's just crazy. It's serendipitous how God works. You know, you just never know. You just never know. But keep trusting, clean house, help others, and that's the name of the game. It's been a pleasure. Thank you guys for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. Peace. I don't even know how to end this thing now.